time to think about how they're going to round out their bans. They have chosen to remove the Gwen away from Kiaya. We talked about Gwen being a contested pick coming into this series. Both top laners love it. And Aurora very much targeted towards that mid lane matchup. Emo played a lot of it. Ares, I mean, they want to still show that respect against the potential pick in the mid lane.
But no games played on it so far this split. So it's interesting, you know.
I mean, it might be that the curveball, BLG prepared so much with the expectation playing into Emo, now playing into Ares, and a quantity that they don't know as well.
Well, here we go. I talked about, two most played were the Ryze as well as the Ahri. I called out the Ahri Vi, so it looks like that's probably what we are going to be heading towards here for GAM, giving themselves some playmaking there in the mid lane. And if you are expecting, it could just be a slam down of the Annie, which people do quite like into that Ahri.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I like about it the most. Knight is daring you to pick Ahri into him. Not only is he known worldwide for his Ahri, but also Annie was a champion that he made a name for himself on back in 2023 at MSI. It was something that he was bringing out throughout 2023 and is one of his comfort picks, and as you rightly said, is very good into the Ahri matchup. So he's basically daring Ares to say, go on then, show me what you got, because I'm a big fan of this matchup.
All right, well, it looks like the gauntlet has been thrown down, and I think the challenge about to be answered, as it looks like the Ahri is going to get locked in. So Ares will be going with it regardless of the fact that he's almost being like pre-counterpicked here by Knight. I mean, very similar roles that I think both of these champions play on both sides. We have mid-jungle for both sides. It is playmaking, it is engage, it is a powerful 2v2 for both of these teams. That being said, I do think that the Annie Wukong kind of is easier to get value out of and is easier to pilot in these team fights.
I think the big value as well is you're taking the Wukong away from Levi. It's one of his staples, one of his go-tos, and by denying that and also giving yourself just strong team fighting prowess, I really like the approach that BLG have taken in the draft. Right now there's a bit of a cheeky Mel hover, but of course there's a lot of flexibility. I would love to see a Jack slam for Bin, especially after he gets solo killed into then finding that 2 versus 1 outplay. Just ride off that confidence, believe in yourself in the same way that we're used to from him. But instead, we're going to play it safe. We're going to get the support lock in to match the Rakan. The Rel going to come through from On, another engaged support. So Beishwan and On. I'm expecting to see some of the synergy that we saw from them in Game 1 with so many fantastic engages being set up by the Alistar from On.
And I really feel like the Rel here on 3 is kind of a bit of an adaptation because of Fearless, but because with Rakan taken away and the Alistar as well as the Nautilus already taken away by the first game's Fearless, if you double ban, say, Leona Rel, then all of a sudden you're really getting into a much lower tier of engaged supports. So I don't think that On was willing to allow that to happen. So as a result, they're going to earlier pick their engaged support. But this series, especially if GAM is able to get a win, is going to get into kind of that weird territory where supports cannot just pick the default meta engaged champs. They are very quickly going to be pushed out of it in Game 3, Game 4, and beyond.
Yeah, and I imagine Nico is going to rise in priority as the series goes on, but Xayah, I feel like, will be the follow-up ban coming through from BLG to deny that Xayah-Rakan pairing. On the side of GAM, though, do they really want to limit the mid lane, the AD carry pool? Yeah, they will. Okay, they're going to ban the Xayah themselves.
It's really interesting because I was going to say, one of the things that they could be worried about is the actual Xayah pick on 4 for Elk, right? Because they are also showcasing a hard dive comp that Xayah answers well. So, it is one of the advantages here of being on red side is that you can essentially like triple ban almost through the AD carry, use your 2 bans, then you take away another on that 4th pick. And you can really limit the champion pool here for Artemis, who had an incredible start to the last game alongside Elio, was able to get that double kill in the 2v3, was really playing well. And it is going to be even more bans thrown down towards that bot lane. Kallista's gone, Xayah's gone, as is the Zeri and the MF and the Jhin and the Varus, all from that previous game.
The AD carry pool, of course, still a very deep one.
Yeah, when you're thinking about safe ones, I'm thinking about things like Ezreal still up and available.
Very true.
So I do wonder if that could be a target for GAM if they are concerned about that. Instead, they are looking more for the offensive option with that Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
But Ezreal feels like a real possibility here for Elk.
It's also just one of his go-to champions as well.
It fits, and I'm one of the best in the world at it. It seems like a good pick.
Yep. I very much align. And I think that this is like, so far, I really like what BLG have done with their draft. And they're also going to get counterpick at the very end as well. They read the Ahri.
That's not fair.
With the Annie. They got themselves the Wukong to set up for some really nice team fighting, and they've got so many options with how they play the fights. GAM now, they're going to have to blind pick top. I wonder if Renekton will be something they consider, maybe even the Gnar. Tristana, relatively safe, solid scaling, front to back, good AD carry. But when you think about Tristana, Rakan as a bot lane, not a huge amount of playmaking potential, but I guess Tristana very good at being independent and free farming to potentially open up Elio to roam with Levi and look for plays on the map.
Yeah, it would have to be, you know, Elk overextending a bit, you know, gets engaged on by Elio, Artemis jumps on his head. But I do like the Buster Shot as the disengage, specifically against Wukong. If you can catch Wukong, you know, as he's going forward, knock him back, that can be quite powerful. Sion, great blind pick here, but there are concerns about the way this draft has gone because yes, the Annie was picked before the Ahri, but it was basically a pre-counter pick. You got to pick jungle after the enemy picked jungle. You got to pick support after they picked support. You got to pick top lane after they picked top lane. It's like they kind of got everything they wanted. It almost feels like BLG is playing blind pick here and getting to see their opponent's draft.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of hovers coming through from BLG.
A lot of buffs recently.
The buffed Aatrox on the top side of the map, and I think it's a good matchup into the Sion as well. I mean, BLG just have really solid making these change up when they feel like they need to. GAM moving over to the blue side. Let's see what early game action they can make happen. Already skirmishes. We saw Knight getting a bit of damage onto Elio. We're seeing the same thing happen in the jungle matchup too. Beishwan going to force Levi back early.
Elio being safe is going to respect the potential of that continued invade, but while you're watching the action unfold, keep an eye out for exclusive drops just for tuning in to MSI. All you need to do to be logged in and watching on lolesports.com for a chance to score some sweet in-game loot.
Who doesn't like loot?
I guess it depends what the loot is, you know?
Honestly?
What if it's like a bag of coal?
Then is that really considered loot?
I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, I could
Mr. I like loot.
I'll find a use for it, yeah. I'll take some coal. I'll do it.
Maybe light up the barbecue, you know? Grill some dogs.
Now it's what?
Some hot dogs. Some hot dogs.
That's what you meant. Okay,
yes,
okay.
All right, well, we can see the runes. Nothing too crazy standing out. I was going to be interested to see if Ben would have been playing Conqueror or not in that top lane, but Grasp is just so strong in the early laning phases that most people are going for it, even in some of these tank matchups where you're going to get a lot of value out of Conqueror later on. And you can see it is just a split map, exactly.
Yeah. So the wards from GAM spotted out the deep invade that came through from BLG. BLG was fishing for an early pick, an unsuspecting GAM, but GAM wisely respect it, and they don't fall for the trap, meaning that the split map will isolate this bot side of the map of GAM. And I think that BLG is very happy about this. It means that Beishwan can look to put a lot of pressure on this bot lane 2 versus 2. It provides a lot of safety for Elk and On, and also some much needed revenge after what happened in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Elio is going to get pushed back here. There's a flash in from Ana. It's a level 1 support, and he's got nowhere to go, and Elk snipes him for first blood.
I mean, that was just exquisite from On. He flash engages, ticks over to level 2 at just the right time, and he catches Elio completely off guard. Now, Levi looking for a response.
Yeah, this kind of has to work here for GAM, but Kiaya is getting incredibly low. Will he just get knocked down by Ben? Ben trying to take him out in that 1v2. Will he be able to do it? Ben now trying to kite back, waiting for the Qs. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. GAM get their response kill. So that is a pretty big one because it was just the support that died in bot lane, but still, I mean, the kill went to Elk, and as a result, Artemis was kind of starved under that tower.
Yeah, honestly, I do think that's a misplay from Ben. He needed to show a little bit more respect on the top side of the map when you know that the split map is coming, but On, he's looking for another play mid.
He is indeed, and there's the flash stun. The Q, the crash down, does not connect. The CC not chained perfectly. Eris just enough time to flash out to safety.
I mean, On continuing to have impact, a player that I think overall did have a solid year. Some comments around inconsistency have risen, but overall, I think that he's had a very solid year. And now coming into this series, he continues to find plays on the Alistar. His engages were spectacular, and now already early on in game 2, he's finding some great plays across the map.
Absolutely is, and On definitely threatening in his positioning here. They do have a ward in Pixel that will be able to spot Beishwan if he wants to head down towards that bot lane. You see the XP advantage there showing itself for Artemis. As yes, he missed a lot of farm, but because his support died, well, it gets some solo XP down on that bot side. So silver linings, I guess, and we'll see if they're going to be able to hold this for a little bit, as On's just going to use the crash down to tank up the minion wave and try to keep it on their side.
TP's going back into the mid lane as the junglers now return to their rightful sides of the jungle. Respawn of the Raptors going to come through. Kind of look across the CS, things relatively even. The gold difference is nothing too significant. Jungle lead in favor of Levi as the AD carry for Elk, and that's really just represented in the kills that they were able to find for themselves. Too chaotic so far. Dragon going to be available on the map in about 30 seconds. And in game one, we didn't really see a huge priority on the Dragon. Grubs really does seem to be the name of the game for many pro teams. We'll see if that early swap does in fact come through. Something that you want to try and leverage on the Sion specifically is trying to go for those early swaps, because Sion loves being in the 2 versus 1. But I use love in quotation marks in the sense that he's a champion that just does very well in that situation.
Tell you're not a top laner by that comment.
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
He's playing against Nico Varus, no problem.
He's such a big fan of
just
playing
stand
2
in your
versus 1.
tower, play for experience. Loves it, trust me.
Loves it. And Aatrox really doesn't. Really doesn't love that. So I am expecting an early swap to come through from GAM. In the meantime, Levi covering his bot side of the map.
Well, he's going to spot On here, and On still has no flash, but should be able to just walk it out. You know, Artemis and Ilio not in position to really follow up there. We'll see GAM just kind of fishing around this bottom side. We'll see if Levi wants to be starting up this Dragon. Is On going to threaten with a Hex Flash there. Beishwan does arrive to try to back up the rest of the team, and they are looking here. The Charm does connect onto Knight, and there is the Q to follow. Knight gets 6, but it just doesn't matter. It's too little, it's too late. They get the kill on the LPL mid laner.
Nicely done. We wanted to see some mid lane investment from GAM, and the first gank pays off super effectively. They knew that Knight had burnt that flash earlier on when they tried to make that mid lane play, and they were able to find magic, and they're able to get themselves another kill. So GAM off to another small early game lead here in game 2.
Yeah, and it's going to feel really nice that he also used Tibbers there, right? Like, he spent the ulti, didn't really get anything for it, and Ahri did not use ultimate, you know, got 6, I believe, off of the kill or off of the minions as that kill was happening. So there is a chance that they could just look for a rinse and repeat play, as Levi's also closing in on level 6.
Certainly is. Dragon looking to be secured by BLG as the swap is coming through now from GAM. The rotation into the mid lane from Elio. Working with Levi, something that we continue to see, this combination of the jungle plus support. Artemis, I think he was able to sidestep the vision there. Oh, doesn't matter. He's just going to make his presence known as the Sion, looking to TP towards the bot side of the map. Dragon secured. Grubs still a minute and a bit more away.
Yeah, Levi heading up towards that top side. They were going to try to see, does Bin overstay his welcome? This time he does not, as he's going to be backing off pretty early. Levi may spot him, but is not going to actually catch him on the end of that recall, and Artemis is just going to be able to farm a couple plates as On is heading up towards that top side. So we'll likely see Bin back up there as well, but Knight and Beishwan looking to put pressure onto Eris. Not able to get too much, but a little chunk of damage isn't too bad.
Levi looking to steal away some camps as Beishwan making his way up towards the top side of the map. Levi going to respect this, knowing that the possibility of a collapse is very real. Beishwan will spot GAM as they exit towards the bot side of their jungle. The red buff going to be started off. Levi doesn't really get to steal much away, even though he spent a lot of time on the top side of the map. He's looking to steal away these Raptors. Knight is here. Ulti, 4 seconds.
Well, they're definitely thinking about it. On now has his flash back, but it feels like it's just a couple seconds too late. If they had that Tibbers earlier, might have gone for the play here.
Very much agree. But the swap has come through, and the problem now for Levi is he kind of wants to clear his bot side camps, which is very far away from the Grubs, which means that BLG are going to be set up for success. And when we think about how BLG made this road here, I mean, they started their playoffs in pretty dominant fashion, getting a back-to-back 3-0s. It wasn't until that they actually ran into AL that they suffered their first major defeat, going the full 5 games, and then going up against IG in the lower bracket semi-final to then rematch AL where they fell short once again. And I think it's easy to remember that while they did have a difficult regular season, BLG really did step up in the playoffs, and they were able to showcase a lot of improvements after so many of the struggles that they ran into with the jungle changes, the coaching staff struggles. They were able to find their footing and make their way back here to MSI.
Absolutely, and it also speaks to the incredibly high standards that are set for a team like BLG. When you talk about expectations, and people are saying, they're not looking as strong, they're not as consistent. Well, they got second in the LPL, and they kind of, crushed in playoffs for a lot of it, except against AL. So BLG definitely still a team to be reckoned with, and we'll see, if they can reclaim some of that form they've had in the past to really challenge the likes of Gen G and T1 and the LCK teams that are going to be waiting for them in the group stage.
You're completely right that it's very much expectations, and it's all about perspective, right? Like making the finals of the LPL for many of the teams competing at MSI would be a massive achievement, but for BLG, and especially the way that they got there.
Getting a win over EU, over NA for EU, also a massive achievement.
Exactly, exactly that. And I think that for BLG, they just held to a very high standard, and it's understandable. Like World Finals last year, MSI Finals last year, like they are consistent finalists, and they are hungry for that title. Of course, there is still a long road to go. The Plains is the first step of them here at the international events. And right now they find themselves 1k gold down. GAM did secure the grubs. They've now swapped back towards the bot side of the map. Plate still very well defended by the BLG bot lane, but a slower early game.
Yeah, and it's all feeling like it's going to come down to the team fights. You know, this game, again, is a lot slower than the last one. GAM did get out to a pretty nice early advantage in that one, but of course BLG kind of erased that advantage in the first major team fight. GAM again up over 1,000 gold. They do have some good scaling here. You know, when you're looking at the Tristana, when you're looking up at Kiaya and the Scion as well, but there's a lot of power compositionally for BLG, and I feel like what they have drafted really does answer what GAM wants to do incredibly well.
I mean, and that's the beauty of League, right? Often you have these very clear expectations around how fights are going to go, but then it all comes down to execution in the moment. And I think what the scariest thing we saw in Game 1 was how BLG, they didn't even give GAM the chance to set up. It was like they attacked them in the setup, catching them completely off guard. And we'll see if GAM can find their footing in the fights. Continues to trade in the 1v1 against Kiaya. Kiaya's doing very good. The 1v1.
Both junglers are here, though. You can actually see the jungle pet moved into that. So Beishwan is here, as is Levi, and Bin is going to get the bad news. They go first, and they grab the kill.
A quick collapse from Levi. As you rightly identified, Azael, it was very much just a kind of test to see which jungler would punish first. And Levi, he didn't hesitate. Quick collapse, easy pick. GAM find themselves their third kill of the game.
And honestly, I think it's probably good for BLG that Beishwan didn't go in, because Ilya was TPing up there with his Spellbook Summoner, so it would have been a 3v2. If he hard committed to that, right into this Rakan, you get double charmed up, you get CC'd, you're probably both going to go down. You can see, though, BLG, of course, trying to punish on that bottom side. Another plate will fall, but no one going to be in range to actually grab that gold, unfortunately, for GAM, so that will just kind of be lost.
You'll notice as well, Levi was actually given a lot of resources there. He was the one that grabbed the plate. He was the one that grabbed that extra farm in the lane. Trinity Force completed for him as the second dragon has started off. It's going to be a very difficult one for GAM to really contest because of how much time Levi spent on the top side of the map. So BLG quickly stacking up these dragons.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a 23, 24-minute soul, if I recall, in game number 1. And they are definitely on pace for that here again in game number 2. So GAM, yes, they are getting to a pretty strong point, but they're going to have to find their opportunity to try to stop this dragon stacking. And you can always try to say, okay, well, we're not going to fight at 3. We're just going to continue building our gold lead. We'll look towards 4, but then one fight goes wrong, you lose the soul, and often you do lose the game right after that, especially when it's a mountain soul and you're thinking about how these comps want to play. It's so much about the upfront damage, right? It's about being able to get those 100-0 plays with the Vi and the Ahri. Well, mountain soul makes that a lot more difficult.
Certainly does. You'll also notice the early Merc treads on Eris. It's just kind of a necessity in this matchup. There's very little that you can do. You just need that CC reduction against the Annie, especially when it's paired up with something like the Rel. And of course, it means that you don't either get the Ionian boots or Sork boots, depending on your preference. So we'll see how much that actually ends up affecting him. Right now, the Vi is looking incredibly strong. Levi really set up for success. The player that, I mean, so many should know based on his international appearances now at this point. We'll see how much of an impact he's able to have on this game. It's BLG's good vision coverage on the bot side of the map means that they have full information as to where he is right now. Those 3 wards littered throughout the jungle, cleanly tracking what he is up to, as our observers are highlighting for us now. And this is sort of one of the big things that so many top teams around the world remain very good at. Keeping good information, very clear, making sure that you see what the enemy team is up to. GAM setting their sights on this top tower. TP's going to come through from Bin.
Yep, Bin going to be arriving up here, just trying to protect this as much as he possibly can. Is on around here with Elk, but Eris does have the backup of Levi in the area, and they are trying to look to threaten this dive here. Elio looks, but cannot actually hit there. Will have to back off, very likely, as Beishwan and On now are going to be in the area. On spotted on the ward as Artemis trying to get that tower down. Can't quite finish it off. Levi's going to go in. Here's Beishwan to get the bad news, as On is trying to turn this fight around. Bin now on the backside, going to get buster shot out by Artemis. Artemis trying to get the work done as the TP's going to be coming in as well. GAM is fully committing to this. Eris in trouble on the side, though, as he's going to get the charm down on the Knight, but Knight gets a stun of his own, and he's chasing after Eris. Eris has the flashes. Elk is now flanking them on the Ezreal. He goes in and he gets the shutdown. Flashes out to safety as well. Another TP coming in, but now Kiaya wants nothing to do with this. He's going to ult out to safety, and it's Artemis that's kind of lagging behind here. Kiaya stopping to try to peel, make sure they cannot catch up to that Tristana, but that means the mid lane tier 1 is going to be completely exposed.
The response from BLG meant that GAM had few options. It felt like GAM was just kind of trickling in one by one, whereas BLG was already a unit much faster than GAM was ready for. They still hold on to the gold lead, but it is only just by 500 gold after BLG secure themselves another tower, or sorry, their first tower of the game and the first tower of the game. The idea was promising from GAM. They wanted to threaten the dive. They were sending their sights on the top tower, and BLG was just covering for the possibility of a dive. But then, when BLG recognized that GAM was ready to fight, BLG are no strangers to a fight. So the moment that GAM tested them, BLG responded in kind. The double TPs came through from both mid laners, and Ahri TPing in that situation is just way more favorable for the Annie. It's so much easier for her to drop her combo. Eris was forced out of the fight immediately. But reminder that Levi still gets the Herald.
Oh, they want this dive. There's Tibbers coming down. The CC chain is going to be enough. Eris going to get smote down by Beishuan. We'll be able to limp out to safety.
Very nice dive comes through from BLG. They'll now get themselves the gold lead. Set their sights on this bot tower. And again, we're seeing On hovering around here. A little late to the party, but it doesn't matter because the clean play still comes through. Tower secured on the top side of the map, so at the very least GAM will find a cross map. And credit to GAM, keeping things competitive. 3-3 in kills, the gold very even. Knight's back also going to be interrupted. You
can also see the feats of strength are going to come down to one more objective. Yep. Both teams on 2 out of 3 of the objectives. We had the feat of warfare there for GAM. First tower went the way of BLG. So these two teams, it's going to be down to this next dragon fight. You have to feel like that is in 40 seconds.
Double Trinity Force spike coming through from BLG. We talked about it in the draft. This spike is where I feel this composition gets super scary, and it's going to be on this next dragon. 30 seconds away. Of course, GAM sitting on items of their own, but we'll see how they fare against this setup from BLG. Their teamfight setup, I mean, just look at them anyway. You can see all the vision coverage that comes through. There's one potential very deep ward coming through all the way on the bot side of the map. GAM are setting their sights on the mid lane to try and gain control. They have the Rift Herald drop. I like this, giving them access into the river.
Yep, going to be able to get this to crash. You can see Eris marking Beishuan on the side, but Knight has a good position here, looking for a potential flank. Ultimate's ready for pretty much everyone. Knight's going to be up in a couple seconds as Kiaya, fishing, will hit some damage down here on to On. But it's going to be about the engage. And if GAM will allow BLG to get in here, they're going to go, and they're looking for the engage. It's Eris that's caught, it's Eris that's killed by Knight, but in the back line, it's Levi trying to turn things around, trying to beat down Knight, but he can't do it. Elio just trying to peel off Beishuan as Knight finally gets killed by Kiaya, but he's knocked down as well. Levi on the run, the bot lane is scattered. GAM are running for the hills, but BLG do not want to let them get away here. They're trying to find one more bit of CC. The Vault Breaker will get Levi out to safety as GAM's bot lane immediately runs mid, trying to take a tower here, but that means it is going to be feats of strength going to BLG with this dragon, as well as the soul point.
On is just exceptional. The small positioning mistake from Eris immediately capitalized on by On. Eris doesn't get a chance. Look, he's just stepped up one step too far. On realizes it, brings him back into the team. Quick snap engage. If Eris had been allowed to live a little bit longer, look at how much work Kiai actually does in the fight. He gets so much damage down. Levi wants to re-engage with him, but Artemis and Elio are just forced out of the fight, so they can't really contribute much more, and BLG is able to clean up.
Yeah, great fight there by BLG. I mean, you called it out. The engage was picture perfect. I also loved how they synced up that engage with the True Shot Barrage, so that even tanked onto Eris right as he goes forward. So the True Shot Barrage hits, the perfect engage from On, and Knight just kind of knocks down Eris. Would have been a completely different fight, like you say, had he not gotten caught there. But that's the beauty of BLG. That's the strength of their team fighting, is you don't always get a second chance. You make that one mistake and sometimes the fight is over. Sometimes the game is over.
And I mean, again, I just want to sing On's praises. Like, He's having a fantastic series so far. His engages, both on the Alistar and on the Rel, have been nothing short of spectacular. We'll see if he can continue to find these engages as Knight finds himself on the top side of the map. GAM looking for the cross map, have committed 4 members towards this tower. BLG want to try and defend.
Yeah, on threatening with the Hex Flash there, but Kiaya is stepping forward. He does pick up the tower aggro. Has to be a little bit careful. He's just tanking that tower. The tower's not getting knocked down. The target is not being focused. We can see TP coming in here from Knight. Is he going to arrive in time? Beishwan going to get knocked down. On's in trouble next, but Kiaya has fallen as well. And Knight arrives just to get knocked down. It's a good fight for GAM. They are chasing after them. The resets are coming through. Levi kills Bin. They knock down 3 for only the cost of the Scion.
It's a fantastic fight for GAM. BLG tried to defend a tower that they had no business defending. Rather than go for the cross map, they took the fight to GAM and they paid the price. Kiaya loses his life, but as you said, Azael, 3 kills secured for GAM.
Such an interesting fight, because I thought it was looking kind of rough at the start there for GAM.
Oh, yeah.
As Kiaya picked up the tower, I think, earlier than he meant, maybe with the Sunfire Cape.
We look back at this engage. Kiaya gets an aggro that you're talking about. On then gets an ulti onto 2 members. The crash down comes through, but this time around, Eris is left completely untouched. He gets given a lot of space as well. They focus their targets well, taking out Beishwan first, knowing that he's the biggest threat, and the moment the Knight arrives, one shot.
Yeah.
Does not get a chance to move.
And that was just beautiful from Elio. Notice how he waited to use his ult so it would still be there as Knight arrived, and then he just stood there with his ult active on the ward that's getting TP'd to, so there's no chance for Knight to do anything. He's instantly charmed, he's knocked up, he's burst down. Beautiful team fighting from GAM there. And just like that, they're up again 1,000 gold, and they're looking towards Otacon. This can be a dangerous prospect. We've seen this go wrong so many times for teams as BLG looking to approach, and we'll spot it now.
Tension continues to mount as Beishwan trying to find an angle in. Elio acting as the gatekeeper for now.
It is getting low. It's going to be a smite fight potentially. We'll see if Beishwan can get in. He can't. It is down to 2K, and they're trying to turn on to Beishwan. They get the kill on to Beishwan. Eris is the one who picks it up. Kiaya trying to tank through this, but the junglers are dead on both sides, and now it's just a total flip, and it's going to be grabbed here, and it looks like it went to BLG. They steal it away, and it's Knight who gets the last hit.
Nothing short of a scrap as it turns into a front-to-back between the 2 teams. I thought that with Beishwan getting one shot at the start, it was going to be a guaranteed fight for GAM, but BLG did not hesitate. They did not slow down. They respond with aggression of their own, and they pick up 2 kills for themselves, taking out both Levi and Kiaya. With them gone, the front line disappears, and GAM is forced to retreat.
Yeah, it is tough. You know, you have to wonder, could they have played that different? You know, maybe sacrifice Kiaya to try to buy some time, but now Artemis, beautiful buffer on the rocket jump there. We'll be able to get him out to safety. Because Levi turned, they wanted to commit to killing Beishwan. They wanted to go for that, but the problem was Levi died just as fast as Beishwan. Yep. So then they were kind of up the creek without a paddle and no real way to secure that.
Yeah, I mean, this Annie is getting scary. Just the teamfight value that Annie can provide, even just stunning up 2 members can be so difficult to deal with. And as we look back at the fight, you'll see Beishwan's approach is very difficult. Elk does a good job of trying to chip away at the HP. Beishwan immediately gets targeted, and then he drops right from the start. But now a lot of resources were used, and then the 2-man stun comes through from Knight. Then the knock-up as well means that the re-engage from GAM, once they take out that initial front line, they're just kind of... they run out of fuel. They run out of options to continue the fight, and then BLG capitalize.
Yep, able to take the fight down. Well played by BLG, and now 20 seconds until what could be the end of the road here for GAM. You really do not want to give over that soul. You can hear Ghost being popped there by Elio as he had spellbooked over to it. Now swapping back to another summoner. Yaya taking some damage, is going to get Shattering Struck and stunned up, but will be okay. Still losing about 30% of your health before that fight. Not what you want to have happen. Oh, he's actually going to look for the engage. He's looking for a Knight here. Elk just shifts out of the way, though, and Kiaya is now the one in trouble. Eris trying to get some damage down on Beishwan. He can't actually connect much. Elio's got to run. So does Kiaya, and GAM are getting crushed. On flashes in. Artemis flashes out. Artemis trying to turn the damage around. As Artemis gets a kill, he gets a shutdown. It's Bin now trying to take the damage in the front line. It's going to be another kill for Artemis as he jumps forward. He's looking for Elk, but he can't close the gap. BLG turn on him. It's a double for Bin. It's Kiaya knocked down. It's the ace and the triple for Bin, and it's going to be Mountain Soul as well.
It's chaos in the mid lane, but BLG fight their way through it, securing an ace and walking away with 3 members alive. They will get themselves the soul, they'll get themselves a tower, and they're looking to get themselves game 2 in this series.
It's a good try there from GAM. They tried to get very aggressive, but the amount of damage they took early on in that fight really did feel like it kind of swung it. Elio and Kiaya ate so much free damage early on. Even with Artemis and Eris finding angles to try to get in, to try to play it aggressive, it was very tough.
I mean, we're going to check out the MasterCard priceless moment of the game because it was a situation where as Kiaya goes in, Artemis is going out. He is afraid of the engage that comes through. And you'll notice here, look, Artemis, he's going to jump backwards as the engage comes through from Kiaya. He's afraid of the engage from On, and now they're separated. Elio tries to follow up on the engage from Kiaya, and this front to back doesn't look particularly promising. Then this knockback that comes through from Levi. 3 members get tied up thanks to the ultimate that comes through onto the back line, but then the damage is just too much. Eris is going to take one step too far, end up in the meat grinder of BLG, and while Artemis tries to clean it up, he just doesn't quite have the damage as Bin is just ripping GAM apart.
Yeah, didn't have that as we saw in our priceless moment of the game powered by MasterCard. Now, Artemis tried to go big, tried to find that opportunity to get in on Elk, but Elk still had his flash, and Artemis had to spend his flash to avoid the engage from On, so he didn't have that to actually follow. Even though he goes in with a rocket jump, it was a good angle, was very, very tough, and Bin was just kind of life drain tanking everything that he was throwing at him, where Kiaya had taken so much damage. You can see how much of that gold is from kills here from Bin. 1,731 gold.
We now turn our attention to what will be the Baron. BLG, after that last fight, the gold difference doesn't look insane, but they're in such a good position with the soul secured. Good vision coverage on the top side of the map. TPs are available for both solo laners. I think they could afford to split them up and start getting some control. You can see both the top and bot waves in somewhat awkward positions as BLG are just kind of grouping up in the mid lane. GAM wanting to try and challenge this wave, don't want to concede full control over that Baron. The push comes through, and now BLG will set their sights towards the Baron area.
Yeah, and there's going to be chances for GAM. You know, generally when you give up Soul, you're kind of hoping that you can keep things close enough that you can have a shot at Elder to try to steal that away, but BLG not going to give you the time to sit back and wait for that to spawn. They are pushing the pace. They are already here on to Baron. And look at the positioning from Knight and on opposite sides. They could look for the snap engage. Knight going to get spotted, but Levi's already in trouble. And Levi's going to get jumped on by Beishuan. Here comes Bin. And there goes Levi. He is down already. Eris trying to get one back, is able to do so as they trade the junglers back and forth. Kiaya is in the middle of everyone, but he is not going to be living for long. Elk is on a rampage, and GAM is on the run, trying to get out of here. But Bin connects. It's going to be a rocket jump back from Artemis here as Knight is just pushing forward, gonna get knocked up. They're trying to make the turn happen. Do they have the damage to do it? It does not look like it. There's a great buster shot from Artemis, but it is not gonna be enough. He doesn't have another rocket jump. He doesn't have another reset, and he doesn't have a way out. Eris now next to fall. He is running, and he has got nowhere to go. Elk goes unstoppable. BLG take another big win.
From Baron to bot lane, BLG hunt down the kills as they look to finish GAM off. A nice snap engage once again around the Baron as they see the face check come through from Levi, and Knight says, all right, it doesn't matter who the target is. I believe that we can one-shot whoever face checks me. Especially when they're expecting Kiaya to be that main force heading towards the Baron. They get that initial kill, and it's promising from GAM as they actually get the kill back onto Beishuan themselves. The problem is in the extended fight, Kiaya is just left isolated, and BLG, without any hesitation, turn their attention back towards the Baron.
They are on the Baron, and now GAM have got to try to do it all over again. Kiaya is body, has his TP, and he is coming, but it feels like it's too little. It feels like it's too late. Levi not even there yet, and the Baron is already gone, and now all GAM can do is just try to run. On goes for the crash down, looking for Eris. He is going to be able to land the charm as Kiaya trying to create some space for the rest of his team to get out, but Elk is going in. Elk is going aggressive as always onto Eris. He's going to be able to ult over the wall to safety. Barely surviving the true shot barrage. GAM to get out, but BLG got what they came for. That is the Baron.
Now with the Baron, they can work towards the sieging of these tier 3 towers. Beishuan hovering around mid lane to kind of keep the wave pushed in. He doesn't want to clear out the whole wave yet, because if he just pushes in this mid wave, then everything's going to be desynced. We'll regroup with his team. Now they're looking to play through these 2 lanes, so they get full coverage around that topside jungle. They send Bin towards the mid lane. The rest of them head towards top, and now these 2 waves looking to try and crash at similar times. This tier 2 tower going to be a difficult one to defend for GAM.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough, especially when they saw 2 members from GAM mid lane very recently. It looks like GAM are sending 3 towards Bin. I think they're trying to see, is there an opportunity here for a pick? But Bin is playing respectfully. He's just going to back it up while the rest of his team pushes in here, and Kiaya is getting hammered by Elk right now. This inhibitor tower is going to be under fire now. BLG 4 members strong through this top lane. Bin escorting in that Baroned up minion wave mid lane as well. And the siege is going to begin in earnest.
GAM may look for a pick onto Bin, the isolated member, perhaps if they can find that kill, leverage the numbers advantage, but BLG, their siege is relentless. The first tower will fall, and now they've gained access into the base. The inhibitor soon to follow.
Yeah, and it's perfectly synced up. The mid lane wave is there right as the top lane inhibitor does fall, and they are going to be moving over and knocking down this one. If GAM's not going to fight for the tower, they're not going to fight for the inhibitor, so it is just one of these options. They sit back, they turtle up, they try to defend the Nexus. That is going to be the call here, and they're going to be looking towards Elder to try to steal away that Elder, try to steal away this game. It's spawning in 10 seconds, and that is going to be target for both of these 2 teams.
5-0-9 scoreline for Elk, 1-1-14 for On. This bot lane has been on fire in this game too. Another ultimate will come across, only connects onto Kiaya. He's going to miss a couple Qs, but the amount of damage that Elk has been doing in this game has been monstrous.
Absolutely has, and Knight just completed the Shadow Flame. They took that late base though, so this gives GAM the opportunity to start this one up. The question is, can they actually finish it in time? Eris on the side, going to be able to try to look for a chunk on a base one, can't actually connect with the Charm, unfortunately. Kiaya is just getting crushed. There's the flash forward by Elio, but there's no one there to follow it up. GAM spend everything to go into the back line there. They lose 2, and it feels like they don't even dent the health bars, and now Gigabin wants to get involved in the action. Levi popping his ult over onto him, but Artemis just can't move the health bars. Levi trying to survive. Artemis is down. Eris trying to get one back, but he can't even get that. BLG will not allow him to get a kill. It's a double on the other side there from Elk as Bin catches up and does what he does. He knocks him down. BLG are going to be moving for the Nexus here, taking this second game. It's 22-11, a 10,000 gold lead as BLG are making no doubt about it. A clean ace at the Elder Dragon is what will spend the end of this one. BLG are going to be taking us all the way to match point.
Some impressive